So it was fun to be able to get people to laugh at moments where you didn't think they were. And then you start managing laughter, because laughter becomes your main tool that you have to feel okay. Yeah, I gave up at that point. There was a point where I gave up.
Oh, you gave up on comedy at some point?
I was doing a lot of stuff to take care of myself, you know.
And then where'd you dig for the material?
The material, well, I'd had about 6 years to get some good material. The hard part was COVID. It was so fresh. In 2019, the material was ready to go.
We all know Theovon as this funny, unhinged Southern boy, but there is more going on behind the facade. In this episode with Jocko, he opens up about his past and uneasy childhood, which he rarely talks about. Welcome back to Podcast Crazy. Make sure to hit that like button, and now let's get into it.
Did your mom and dad stay together?
They stayed together for a while, man. They had 4 children, and then I don't know what happened. And that's kind of when I started to become like mentally, aware of my world.
Jocko started off strong with one that seems to be a really uncomfortable question. Theo was trying really hard to give a factual answer, but I think we can all see the pain behind his eyes is still there. I mean, we can't really blame him. Having a 70-year-old like that as a little baby does sound pretty harsh. Let's see how it proceeds. While Theo tries to inject comedy into his answer with the sidewalk story, we can sense that those sidewalks still haunt him. The roots of the trees pushing against the pavement mirror his own childhood roots, straining to break free from the emotional weight they are buried under.
Right, I think, but I had so much awareness, I think. I was just so aware always. And so then, I think I was making choices that I didn't want people to see me a certain way. How am I going to be? So then I got stuck in this. How can I manage what people think of me?
Was the image that you wanted to project? Because you could see there's plenty of people that they're in those kind of rough situations, and they're, some people go, all right, I'm going to get straight A's and I'm going to go to a good college. I'm going to do all this other stuff. Or some people are, well, I'm going to become the toughest delinquent that there can be, and people are going to be scared of me. So, you get someone going towards like the gang life or whatever. What was it that you were kind of moving towards? Were you an athlete? Were you playing sports?
Yeah, we played some decent sports in our neighborhood, dude, and it was real dicey, bro. We had a lot of people, man. We had one dude who would sneak, we'd play football, and he'd bring matches with him and burn you while he was doing defense, bro. And that's crazy when you're thinking, okay, who's guarding me? Thomas, this kid Thomas, dude, and he's just matching you down when you're, if you're not making cuts real hard. So just some shit like that, man. We played in this one field that had a big hole right in the middle of it, dude, or not to the middle, but off to the side. We had this church football field, man. And damn, people would go missing in that bitch, son. I mean, there's a couple. They had a family of 11 that I swear to God, after a long game, was a family of 10, dog. They lost somebody in there, little Jennifer or somebody. But I remember they would make girls. They would put them on the football field playing football, just in the neighborhood, spray paint a number on this one kid's back. Just all kind of shit, man. Fun stuff, though, looking back.
In this short section, Theo emphasizes how tough it was just growing up as a kid in his neighborhood, how the sports field looked like, and how kids would act with each other. While some of the things, as he admits, sound fun and kid-like, others were for sure not only physically, but especially emotionally draining.
How old were you when alcohol got introduced? How old were you?
Oh, dude, I remember I found some liquor on some Alizé liquor or something. Peach, mango, starburst, baby breath, watermelon, something, dude, on the top shelf, dude. It was 9 different colors, bro. And I found some nudie mags up there, too, same time. Titty literature. So next thing you know, dude, I'm ejaculating and I remember falling off the shelf. I never made it off the top shelf, dude. I was up there for about 4 hours, dude. I'd never been on the top shelf, I don't come from a real balancing family. So I'm up there, dude, I'm drinking, I'm fucking masturbating, and then I remember just blacking out and falling off that shelf. And I probably fell, man, I bet 6.5 feet, almost 8 feet. So not far.
And how old are you at this time?
Oh, I was probably about 13, you know. And so then, but I had other family members who were struggling with drugs and alcohol. So I had this I didn't see that as like a way for me to get in a thing. Like, I didn't see that as an escape really for me. Some of the survival techniques I'd used as a child weren't helping me anymore.
You mean even the comedy piece, even making people laugh? Did that start to wear out?
Well,
or what survival?
It was the only connection that I knew. So I had a tough time making real connections with people, especially women, if I wanted to be in a relationship, or even I think sometimes friends, or knowing that a connection was safe. Like, sometimes I'll overdo a connection. Somebody will say, yeah, everything's fine, man, we'll be there. And I'll still be hyper worried about it.
Theo, known for his humor, starts off strong with some comfort comedy, this time about titty magazines, booze, and milking the lizard. While funny and entertaining, he quickly shifts the mood into something more serious, approaching the difficulties he had with relationships and trust. Let's see how it further evolves.
What was, quote, making it back then?
Okay.
Did you see that as a possibility?
I got 3,000. I remember they gave me 3,000. Did the Comedy Central like 10 minutes or something, and they give you 3,000.
$3,000 for Comedy Central.
Yeah.
You do 10 minutes, they give you $3,000.
Yeah.
The big ass network, Comedy Central. That's like these fight organizations.
Oh,
bro.
It's the exact same
thing,
dude.
man. It's the exact same thing.
It was the ultimate fighting. It was comedy. It was like, obviously, it was just a different day. It was just a different Dana White, or it's just a different organization,
right.
You know. But then also they had all the eyeballs. Then they had the eyeballs, and so so you got a little money, and then you start to get a little notoriety from the deal. From like, you could show people, oh, I really am a comedian. That's the scariest part as a comedian, because you're a comedian, and then you could tell people you're a comedian, but it's a real weird thing to tell people until you have some proof that you are it, dude. Because unless not, you could be just a.
Yeah, I'm a comedian for all practical purposes, right? Well, I'm a comedian.
You could be a murderer.
A computer. Dude,
they
have better suited to be a murderer than a comedian, but it's all good.
Dude, definitely, man. And I always loved peeping Toming, man. Since I was a kid, dude, I love peeping Toming.
So Comedy Central,
you got that money,
and now you're kind of. I mean, other comedians are looking at you,
yes.
but also other comedians, you're kind of like elevated, right?
Yeah, you started to get elevated.
You're sort of the man.
Yeah, a little bit. You get enough that boost that then it tells you, okay, this path is starting to choose you. I think there's a unique moment in different paths where you're putting yourself into the path, and then the path is also saying, hey, putting its hand out, son. And I do believe that for comedians, man, at a certain point, it kind of chooses you.
Jocko, probably a bit overwhelmed from the whole situation, decides to shift the tone for a moment with a more generic work-related question. And I think we can agree with his choice. After so many deep introspective moments, we needed something lighter to break the streak. And even if the next clip starts off more serious, Theo again manages to make it lighter in just a few seconds.
At that point, it was a point where I gave up.
Oh, you gave up on comedy at some point?
Yeah, I had this girl. I was in this long-term relationship, and I went back to New Orleans and worked at a bar, and we was selling Mexican food to people above board. It was legal shit. And they had a margarita machine in there, and I was working that bad boy, and just doing what I could. And then some guy came in who worked next door, and he said like one thing to me, and it just set me off. So this dude, he said something, and it just, and his family partially owned the place. It was a business next door. They sold wine. Like Gary V or whatever that guy's name is, Jerry V, telling people to fucking sell their home and sleep in their yard. You know what I'm saying? And that dude was raised on a damn wine farm or something, dude. He's at there fucking, you know what I'm saying, dude, hiding grapes in his ass at night. Freezing grapes and fucking hiding them in his ass. And he's telling people how to struggle. Dude, that guy's out of his mind. He's like, oh, damn, dude. Oh, you still have silverware in your house? Fucking sell it. And then he shows up and he'll like hug the dude. The guy he has no way to get food in his mouth, The guy's fucking just knuckling through some chowder, knuckling through some bouillabaisse, and he's like, no worries, man, you made $76 last night? And he hugs him. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what the fuck? And then he drives off and the family's just standing there in a park. Another winner. That guy's out of his fucking mind, dude. And he hugs, oh, you sold 2 extra Christmas sweaters you didn't need from last year, and they're crying together. Dude. Like, what is going on, dude?
It wasn't even a few seconds in when Theo managed to make a serious story and spin it into a comedy special just for us. Jocko, laughing too, is probably happy to catch the break before returning to Thoughtful Town, but it doesn't last long because Jocko quickly jumps into Thinno's inner sphere again.
So this rich dude comes in, he says something to you.
He said something, and that night I broke the margarita machine. I set that bitch on and broke it, and I knew that cost him probably about $600, and that was it, and I didn't go back there, man. And then I went back to LA, and I was kind of, I didn't want to be... I couldn't commit to the relationship I was in, and I just went back to LA. And then things like I don't know what happened then, but I started picking up some steam, and that's when some podcasting started. And I just was really fortunate, man. You know, my producer Nick Davis, who's a great guy, is a huge fan of yours, and so you were gracious enough to come on, and Rogan had me on his podcast at the same time, and a couple of other little things happened where suddenly I kind of had a fan base. I don't know if there was much space in between. I did a Netflix special that didn't do anything.
Wait, what came out first? The Netflix special?
The Netflix, yeah.
Okay, so that thing came out, but it doesn't really matter. No one really notices. Whatever.
It did nothing, man. I was so excited. I remember I went to Chattanooga. I'm all fired up, and I'm thinking it's going to be packed, man. And it was it wasn't even a big club, and there was 9 people in there.
Damn. So when stuff like that happens, that's got to be tough to power through. I mean, when you're, especially with everything you've said so far tonight about wanting people's laughter and approval and all this stuff, then you release a Netflix special. There's 9 people.
And this is... Echo, what do you think, man? Bro, I'll say this, for somebody named Echo, you don't even repeat much, dog.
Taking it all in, bro.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I'm glad we can laugh at this, but like, that's painful. Oh, it's painful, bro. But when painful, here's the crazy thing about painful, man. When most of what you know in your life feels like painful, then I think shit like that just kind of fucking fits on the ship.
Not sure if it does fit on the ship or not, but I can understand where he is coming from. When you grow up in an unstable household, you always, to some degree, expect the worst case scenario to happen. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments.
You've been saying this whole time, that you have a hard time with relationships and long-term and all this, but how long have you been doing your podcast for?
For maybe 5 years.
So 5 years. And this is the thing about podcasts, and I have the same thing where I meet people that listen to the podcast and they feel like we have a relationship.
Yeah.
And they're right.
Right.
Because you don't, I mean, my podcast is 3, 4, 5 hours long.
Jesus
I don't
Christ,
freaking
dude.
sit down.
Now I see what happened to you. Yeah, you said things probably years ago, and there's just not much in there. I bet if we tickle you, we'll get them out, you creep. And here's one thing that's neat too, Jocko, is I mostly meet people who I would like to meet anyway. Mm-hmm. It's like the guy that came up to me this morning, I would like to meet him in, he was, some people, it's like, I did some reality television when I was younger, for a couple years on TV, and I would meet people that I didn't know, they didn't know anything about me. It's just people that see you. And that was just, there was nothing to it that meant anything, really. So, to meet people where they know you somewhat, mm-hmm. and so you would have some common ground, it's really nice almost. That's one thing that's interesting, man. I feel like God has given me this weird way where it's like he always is trying to show me that people care about me, because I think for so long I didn't feel like anybody did, when I was real young. And I'm not complaining, I'm not complaining about it. I don't need any self-pity. I don't need anything like that. But I do think it's fascinating how he'll send people in every now and then, somebody say something nice, just something. It's like, it's this slow healing of this space inside of me that has been uncomfortable for a long time.
What better way to conclude a deep dive into your darkest and most frightening memories than with some introspective positivity? Jocko spun it around like only he could, making Theo reconsider his fear of commitment, and therefore giving him the courage and starting point for his eclosion. Theo and Jocko have been going at it for almost 2 hours, just digging deep into Theo's past and how it shaped him as a man, firstly, and as a comedian, lastly. His upbringing was not something many of us envy, and as for Shaw, as he acknowledges, has left a mark on his persona. But like many others, he is proof that no matter where you come from, you can find your space in this world. It could be difficult, uneasy, or challenging at times, but we all have our own life paths, our own stories to write, and especially our inner freedom to find. This is going to be it for today. If you liked the video, leave a thumbs up, subscribe, or share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you in the next one.
I'm gonna do right. And I got to hire a production company, and I've gotten to go through the editing more, and it's been tedious. But the months before it, I had a yoga instructor coming to my home every couple of days. I had a weight trainer. I was doing a lot of stuff to take care of myself, you know.
And then where'd you dig for the material?
The material, well, I'd had about 6 years to get some good material. The hard part was COVID. It was so fresh. In 2019, the material was ready to go. You know, it was just like it was really just like a damn newborn. Like a strong newborn, you know what I'm saying? One that fucking elbow crawls out, you know, with a can of frickin' Go in his arm, you know?
I know.
Okay, you know what I'm saying? The kind of baby that beats mom home, okay? Like, this thing was ready to go. This thing was 10 months in this thing was zygoted, baby.
And then COVID hits.
So then you have all this downtime. So I did move to Nashville and I bought a home in Nashville, and because the stage was still open, so I could still go and keep this material fresh enough. And then I did a couple weeks in LA because there's a lot of stage time there. About 6 weeks ago, I went there for a few weeks and got it ready, and then put it down in Nashville, and it was great, man. We had like 6,000 people came out.
Damn.
And
that's massive for comedy, isn't it?
It's pretty good. We did 3 shows of 2,000.
Oh, okay.
And,
yeah. Right on.
Yeah, otherwise it would be too big. This venue was just kind of real perfect enough to rhyme and over there, and so it was good, man. And it was good, and I involved myself more in the editing. You know, I've seen a lot of the ropes now. I know when I can assert myself, and sometimes I don't do it that well. Sometimes I'm too aggressive.
Do they record all the shows?
The first one was so bad, it was like people were heckling. We built a set that literally looked like a pedophile that opened a candy shop, dude. That's how it was, okay? Like,
was this on purpose?
No. No, great question, though. And you still don't say anything, huh? Okay, well, you know, you could listen at home, man, okay? You're making people uncomfortable.